Like Shadow of Mordor before it, Middle-earth Shadow of War is so much more than just another open-world action game with Batman's combat. Its amazing nemesis system makes just about every encounter with a named enemy a memorable battle, and the new fortress sieges give it legs beyond the campaign through asynchronous multiplayer.
You cannot kill the machine. The steel remains forever.
This story plays just as fast and loose with Lord of the Rings lore as last time. It picks up after the conjoined spirits of ancient elf lord Celebrimbor and Aragorn's stunt double Talion forge a new ring of power, and immediately lose it. Their beef with the Witch King feels drawn out, with lots of clunky derivative dialogue, but there are some strong moments. Flashbacks to the Ringwraith's corruption, battles with the Balrog, and even the founding of Minas Morgul are all standouts, if you can stomach the non-canon version of events. It goes to interesting places, visually at least. Each of Shadow of War's 5 zones looks markedly different, giving it a good variety. There is a lot of running, but Talion's moves make that quick and fun, except when you get stuck on a ledge. On the other hand, all of the locations are functionally identical and inhabited by the same types of enemies and wildlife, and their beauty is sometimes disfigured by some nasty pop-in that can leave terrain textures looking like something out of Minecraft. The main story is a sideshow to the one created by each encounter with hundreds of randomly generated URUK captains. It's great to constantly run into colorful characters like these guys.
I sing this song with all my breath. Take heed, for this interlude ends with your death.
Each has their own random combination of a huge selection of strengths to counter and weaknesses to exploit. They're full of surprises and personality, so much so that I'm still seeing new faces, voices, and even armor elements after 50 hours. It's almost a shame to lop off their heads and limbs with spectacularly animated, slow-motion finishing moves. There are also meat pinatas full of potentially game-changing loot. That makes it an interesting trade-off between killing an URUK captain instead of brainwashing him and recruiting him into your army. Plus, each piece of high-end loot comes with a challenge to unlock its more powerful traits. So there's always something new to do as you fight, and there's always another reward. Some of those challenges are built around the absurdly forgiving stealth, but most are active and interesting. Just like in Shadow of Mordor, individual URUKs are so non-threatening that they're basically health pickups. But when dozens of them flood the screen at once, they're a force to be reckoned with. When a captain enters the fray, it's like a scene from a movie where 2 opposing heroes spot each other across the battlefield and cut a swath through their armies to fight. It is easy to get overwhelmed, even when Talion is leveled up with ridiculously powerful abilities. Knowing when to back off and heal up is key. But even then, Shadow of War is much better at keeping the pressure on than Shadow of Mordor, so its fights never get quite as easy toward the end. Considering it's actually impactful and sort of fun to die because of the way the enemy URUKs rank up, that's a very good thing. It's true that you could count the enemy types that didn't appear in Shadow of Mordor on one hand, but they do have a major impact. The hulking Ulags make quite an impression, and when a drake flies overhead, its fire breath changes things up considerably. The biggest new features of Shadow of War are its fortresses, which you can conquer with a large-scale invasion force of brainwashed URUKs. The process of breaching the walls and holding capture points tends to be pretty easy. You've got a whole army backing you up, led by your fiercest captains and upgraded with everything from mounted cavalry to siege artillery. But the battle at the end with a local overlord and his henchmen is no joke. Once you've taken a fortress, you get to appoint your own forces to defend it against invasions, both as part of the story and the asynchronous multiplayer where other players can basically download a copy of your URUKs to fight. This means URUKs are essentially loot themselves, with epic and legendary captains presenting a huge potential. Leveling them up by sending them out on assassination missions or AI versus AI pit fights gives them an almost Pokemon-like feeling. But there's not enough control over your armies in either fortress invasions or defenses to make them feel really strategic. A quick word about the controversial microtransactions. Ignore them completely. They're just a way to get loot that isn't killing URUKs, which is the best thing about Shadow of War, so you'd basically be paying to have less fun. Similar to the way Batman Arkham City built on the foundation of Arkham Asylum, Middle-earth Shadow of War is bigger and more ambitious in scope than Shadow of Mordor, with great results. The way it expands on the excellent Nemesis system with far greater variety and fortress sieges makes even better use of the standout generated characters, and its battles with memorable URUK captains remain challenging all the way through the campaign and into the clever asynchronous multiplayer beyond. For more on Shadow of War, check out our cross-platform graphics comparison and the first 12 minutes in 4K on PC.
Flashlight! You cleaved me in two. Any other orc would have died, but I survived.